If you already clicked on this video already, you're probably wondering, what's going on with this news? Is Ballistic Overkill is going to be officially dead now? But I'd like to assure you that it won't be dead. However, this is actually probably the most important news for all of us that still stick with the game ever since it actually went on a hiatus for a good year now at this point. And I believe by bringing them this news at this time at the right moment, it's probably the best time for them to announce that they're officially cutting support for this game and actually decide to move on. Aquirius did post a whole article about this news, so if you actually want to read the whole entire thing yourself, you can actually go down in the link description or the comments just for you to read it for yourself. But if you want to know a very short version, I'll probably be giving it right now. It's basically the very first two paragraphs. They basically shows their inspirations, their plans on how to bring the franchise to a much more bigger audience, which is all the players that actually use Steam for all their gaming platforms. And of course, there's also technical issues that goes along with it too. And that being, it's going to be the Unity plugin no longer supports in browser, such as the places that we should play this game from, such as Facebook and Krongate. And without the support, they can't actually keep the game in there any much longer. And so they took the plunge, decided to rebrand the franchise as Ballistic Overkill. And of course, they want to change things in certain ways so that it could be much more fair for everybody as compared to the free-to-play version. And that game itself actually has its own problems during that time. And so that's why Aquirius decided to take a step further and try to revamp the whole game while preserving the very core concept of Ballistic Overkill being the simplistic shooter that you can just play any class, jump in there without anything complicated and just shoot right away. During the course of time since the game officially released in Steam, there's a lot of internal issues within the company itself. And that being most of the staff members that used to work with this Overkill actually had to move to work on a different game so that they can actually focus on the bigger grand titles that actually pull in a lot more money, and thus stripping all the staff members that usually works to Ballistic Overkill. And that's why a lot of the updates that we usually see is becoming much slower and slower, and it gets to the point that there's literally no one there to handle the game, to take care of it. And I haven't been on the Discord server a lot ever since I decided to leave roughly a year ago, so I don't actually have the right accurate information, but I could probably safely assume that even the last person who used to hold the game with his one hand only decided to let it go at this point, because either he decided he doesn't want to deal with it anymore, or he's been transferred to another project that actually needs his attention. And thus the developer team actually did apologize for that. The most important thing that will actually come with this letter is actually saying the following: we have decided to end our official support for Ballistic Overkill, but we will keep the game alive for an engaged community. Starting July 31st, 2020, we'll shut down our servers, Ballistic protocols, and online rankings. You're still able to play with your friends through community servers, and the game will remain available on Steam. And that specific wording is actually going to impact a lot of us that actually do rely on their official servers, and that obviously is going to be those loot boxes that we've been collecting all this time and try to get the skin that we wanted, getting the pumpkins for this instance, and obviously grinding for the rankings for just to collect all the golden weapons that we might want to collect, or for those players who have to be a little bit hardcore and just grind up for those rankings just by going to free-for-all and kill as much people as possible, which is probably the easiest way to do it, but it kind of balances out with the other game modes that I get to play. And without those official servers, all that will actually come to a halt, or literally just stop right at that point. And that's actually really a bummer for all of us that plays the game to collect all the skins that we have yet to collect. And of course, there's those gold skins that most of us won't even have, because one, the grind for the leaderboard isn't worth it because it drives our mind insane, because on how the ranking scales up between scores between each game modes, and the amount of time for us to, let's put it this way, quote unquote pub stomp all the casual players just for the sake of the ranking points and just to get those golden weapons too. And yeah, that's really unfortunate for us to go through that. And if they were to change the way that community servers can get those skins or those loot boxes or complete those missions, that would be great for all of us that want to stick around for the game for a little bit much more longer before we decide to move on with our lives. And whenever I actually jump into the game of Ballistic Overkill, I actually see the official servers are actually to be the only ones that are being occupied. But certain occasions though, I actually do see other servers actually are occupied, and those being are the community servers. And I can guarantee you that you're going to be on the community server much more often than you would be on those dedicated servers, as there's a good reasons why they actually have to decide to shut down. Maintaining those servers that we use for a good 5 years now at this point actually does cost some money, either a monthly basis or yearly basis, or whatever ratio they have to pay by, just to keep those servers alive for us to go in. And the longer they have it, it's going to be a detriment for their end. Just, they have to pay out of their pockets just to keep the server alive. And the only thing that's giving them income is only the skins that are available for our characters, and that's basically asking nothing else besides buying the base game of $12.99. And there's no other form of income they can generate from besides the Steam market that players can actually sell their skin, and there's a certain percentage that actually comes with the fee whenever you actually purchase skins, and a portion of that will actually go to Aquirius themselves. Just a good way to allow them to get some continuous income from either purchasing or selling skins. Now, if you actually want my thoughts about this news, I wouldn't actually be surprised if they decide to leave the game alone or completely ditch it, because it's been a whole entire year since we actually got a last significant update for this game, and it was already going towards this decline because a lot of the staff members that used to work for the game from the very beginning has been leaving or been reallocated to different projects that needs higher priority than Ballistic Overkill. And over time, that number begins to shrink to the point that one person was the only one that's been working on the game, such as digging all the bugs in the game, kicking all the hackers that many of us reported over time, and basically clinging on that hope that the game can still live a little bit even with a short lifespan also. And today they decided to let it go at this point. After playing Ballistic Overkill for a good amount of years now, I really have to say that I really enjoyed the game right when it picked up, because there's a lot of things that they do right on it for that regard, is removing the pay-to-win mechanic that the free-to-play version actually had. And I'm very grateful for that, so that everyone has access to the same weapons, and I felt like no one actually has a significant advantage over the others, besides the weapon balancing and class balancing also, which gave it a detrimental problem, but there's nothing that we can do about that. And of course, they want to try to keep this game at a premium game so that you don't have to pay much more than you need to just to play this game with. Most of the games we play actually has a system that has to find ways to make enough income to keep the game alive. Selling loot boxes, selling cosmetics for your character, such as costumes, weapons, probably grenades even if you wanted to go for that. And that's what they actually did in the free-to-play version. But the only problem is there's several different tiers of weapons, and obviously the core version of the weapons are the weakest one out of the bunch. And if you actually want to get the upgraded version of it, which is the legendary grade, you would actually have to either pour a lot of hours into the game just to get that weapon, or you can just buy a bunch of loot boxes and just try luck from there. And if we take that concept of selling the loot boxes and only selling for the aesthetics only, that could give Aquarius probably enough income to pay his employees just to, keep the game alive, and obviously release more content that they have yet to release, such as the Dragon skin, the Automata skin, the Spitfire. You can name a whole lot of skins from the free-to-play that they have yet to release, and I really do feel bad for those veteran players and for those who actually played during the free-to-play era. They don't get to relive those moments that, like, hey, that's the skin I actually used to have in the free-to-play version. Let's see if I can get back in the newer Ballistic Overkill version. And just to have that experience cut short because all the staff members has to go to a much bigger priority project. Yeah, I kind of feel bad for them, because it would have been a great experience for every one of us just to, use the skins that we used to use in the free-to-play version and just like relive to the point that, like, oh my god, the skin's got a whole new revamp with the upgraded graphics or such. Of course, there's some people that might argue saying that, like, hey, what should happen if you actually sell the game to a different publisher or developer? But my question to that is there anyone out there in the independent developer community that wants to pick up this game up where it left off? It's sort of like just saying that you build this wooden house in a woodshop class or something, and you want to try to give it to someone to finish the job for you or something. There could be a developer that might be interested in it, but I don't think they share the exact same vision that us players actually have compared to those they're about to give it to. So, if let's just say for this case, for instance, if they were to give the game to someone else and apparently decide to do a 360 and change the whole entire game so that it won't feel the same, obviously us players are going to complain if like hey, this is not what Blizz's Overkill should be or what Ballistic should go, and it completely changes the feel of the game. And obviously we would write to them as like, hey, this isn't what we wanted. And then, you know, depending on the type of developer that they actually did decide to give it to, either one, they decide actually listen to players and give what we want, or of course they can just dump the game completely and not let it go any further because they just want to do it in their own vision. And if they actually do want to get this game, they would actually have to find some ways to monetize the game somehow so they can make some money out of the product. And a lot of you guys would say, like, okay, it's simple, just make it free to play. But the only issue is, how are they supposed to make some income out of that game that they decide to make it free to play? How are they supposed to pay for all the staff and employees who actually work behind the game? And how are you supposed to make some income to pay them off? Obviously, they're not going to work for free out of their own time just to keep this game alive. And if there's no income coming into them, there's no point for them to keep on working on it unless out of their goodwill they want to take out of their time just to keep this game alive. That would be the situation that most of us would like to see happen, but face it, this is reality. They have to get some compensation for all the hard work they've been put behind. And yeah, that's just saying, I work for my job at work, and you actually spend your time roughly 8 or 10 hours per day just to make enough income to sustain yourself. Either for housing, for food, or just to pay all your bills and such. You need all this, you need something to pay off that, and that's what the job is for. And that's sort of the same thing that the developer has to go through, because they're working just because they need to make income, and the project they're working on 24/7 is actually Blizz's Overkill. And if there's no constant stable income that's generated from the game, why waste your time of keeping the game that doesn't give you anything at all, really, just besides happy players saying like, oh my god, the Blizzard Overkill is the best game ever. Yeah, that's sort of a harsh reality that I have to go through, but people are people. They have to work just to keep things going, and us players, the consumers, just basically respond like if this product works for us or not. And this actually brings the very final thing I like to say about this, and the biggest question I like to bring it up for you guys is, how is it going to affect all my content for this day forward for all Blizzard's Overkill content? And to be honest though, it's going to be quite the same really, because I haven't been touching the game a whole lot of times. There will be some times I actually do decide to hop in the game and play a couple of matches and such with fellow players that actually like this game as much as I do, and I decided to come back out because basically whenever I come in the room I start, you know, playing my normal thing. By the end of the match I used to score like roughly 1.1 thousand points and probably average around like 40 to 30 to 50 kills, and by the end the match is over, everyone's gone. So yeah, I actually have to exit the game because of that. And I won't be surprised it would be the same thing, because there's some standover servers that still linger around, like the OG Kills server, whatever that's called, and that's been lingering for quite some time now. And a lot of players can just use that server just to hop right in and start playing a 8v8, which is quite fun for one experience. But on the other hand though, it could be quite frustrating to go against, because if you go on a kill streak and one player who's just smurfing in the corner decides to snipe you across the map and end your streak like that, yeah, that's probably the most frustrating thing you actually have to go through if you want to go for those overkills or go for 5 or 7 kill streaks. It's really a bummer just to have that much players on there, but it's more fun with more people around, right? So anyway, if it's going to be more content for like this in the future, I could probably say there's a lot more things I could do with the game as of for now. Probably after they decide to shut down the dedicated servers, you're probably going to see a noticeable decrease on gameplay videos, but just to return that, I'm probably going to do some content around the game, but not in the game content, like just just playing with weapons, just going on kill streaks and such, I'm probably going to do a little bit changes to it just to keep the content a little bit relevant to the game, but not so much that it's not going to be the usual stuff as you see like during the past years I've been doing of recording myself using the specific weapon and going kill streaks, and all you guys gets to watch is like, oh my god, this first time she's such a god, how does he do all this stuff? But the thing is though, everyone actually starts the same way, and even I just who played this game for so many years now is it's just exactly the same as you guys. And of course I'll just say I was that one time I was that Wrath camping in the corner of my base camp from the barrier so that I don't get killed. I was afraid at first. No one's going to be super good right off the bat because everyone has to learn the mechanics, everyone has to find their groove, their sensitivity, their mouse, or there's a lot of things you can go through just to take steps to become where you are right now. And that's actually how I become today at this point, because thanks to the free-to-play version of Ballistic, that was actually my very first free-to-play first-person shooter game I actually ever played on PC. And thanks to that, I would have to give my applause to them for making me who I am and allowing me to diversify all the content I actually able to spread, to share with you guys, to talk to you guys about it, to share it, and you can guys just enjoy how much I can abuse these weapons to a certain extent that no one else could do it in the first place. And yeah, give props to them for bringing this game to all of us. And it was you guys as the one that continued to motivate me to play the game much more than I would normally do anyway in the first place. And you guys always say, is like, can you use this weapon on this character, or can you pub stomp with everyone in the free-for-all match with this weapon? I still do it, and you guys just definitely asked me really insane quests during the past, and I somehow managed to survive through that, and thankfully it wasn't too terrible as compared to like other weapons that I first tried, and holy crud, that was horrible. I just took one of the weapons that I hated most, which is the Destructor, and I was second to last place of using that weapon. But after I used it for a while and I started to understand how to use it, yeah, land on the top of the leaderboard, and people are really salty that like, oh my god, how did you kill everyone in the room with this crappy grenade launcher, and how did you do it? I just say like, I just basically suffered through the process that you guys went through as when playing the game for the very first time. You guys made mistakes, you learn from it, and you continue developing that skill so that you can actually understand how the weapon works, and you can find ways to use it much more effectively and certain scenarios that you can take advantage of. And that pretty much goes for all the weapons that's in the game right now. And of course, there's going to be those builds that actually are top meta right now, and those weapons obviously is going to be those weapons such as the Widower, Jackhammer, Thumper, and you name it. Those type of meta weapons are usually low skill, low risk type of weapons, and that basically, kills the mentality of like, hey, can you actually take this weapon and just jack it up all 24/7 and such? Yeah, that's just sort of this game right now with Ballistic Overkill with stale metas, and even I just decided to like take different weapons around and see if I could counter that meta, and to a certain extent I could do it, but again, that's just me being me, and I just know how to use these weapons, and just give this weapon to a normal person and it's like, oh my god, this weapon is just pure crap. How do you guys even use it? Yeah. So that's just basically sums up my end for the whole thoughts of this whole Aquirius decided to pull the plug on Ballistic Overkill just for supporting it only. And there's going to be more of these discussion videos towards down the future, and I have a lot of topics in my head right now that I want to do, but I just can't find the time to do it. And so this is First MG. I hope you enjoyed this really lengthy discussion video of the current state of the game and on where the direction it's going to go to. So if you enjoyed this video, just let me know in the comments down below. If you have any thoughts about it, throw that down below too. And yep, I'd like to see you guys down in the future then. And thank you for staying around with me for this long time, ever since Ballistic Overkill came to Steam, and for you guys to actually stick around since the free-to-play version. I appreciate that too. So this is First MG, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.